darling, steer it up. Little darling, steer it up. Come on, baby, cause it's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man, everybody. This is our 10th anniversary of Breakfast with Bob, and we are beautiful Huggos on the Rocks, brought to you by HOKA, by Polar, by UCAN, by Velofix, Normatec, Active, Canyon, Form Goggles, Amp Human, Four Seasons, and we're at beautiful Huggos on the Rocks. Our guest, two-time Olympian, 4th place here last year, 2nd place in Frankfurt in 18. Please give it up for the amazing Sarah Theroux. How are you, Sarah?
Listen, look where we are.
It's the best,
This
right?
is the best. How could I not be here?
See, you could be still doing ITU and going to Yokohama and places like that rather than being here in beautiful Hawaii.
Well, yeah, there are upsides and downsides to ITU, but
they're done earlier, right? It's a little shorter.
Yeah, it's a little shorter, but there's no race in Kona with the kind of history that it has.
Right.
You know, it's pretty special to be here.
So this year, you had Frankfurt, where basically your body decided that it was checking out a little early, right? Decided, you know what, I know it's a full marathon, but I think 25 miles is plenty.
Oh, it was closer than that. It was about 700 meters.
700 meters.
Yeah.
700 meters where your body was like,
Yeah.
And it's probably one of those things where you've watched Julie Moss on TV a million times. They're like, just walk. It's not a problem. Don't try to run. And then you're Julie Moss. Your body's basically coming apart. What do?
Listen, I just really wanted to win.
Yeah, I know.
So that part of my brain took over. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty complicated situation. You know, the good news being that, from the neck down, totally healthy.
Right.
We don't know if I'm going to have a similar response here. We haven't done the full screen of testing, but I'm an optimist.
Yes,
I'm
I know
physically prepared. I have a good attitude. We're just going to hope that, I can get through without any issues. But at the end of the day, there's uncertainty in racing. It's just a question of what degree of uncertainty. And for me, this year, this is a curveball I didn't expect, but we're just managing it.
Well, it's interesting because you last year you go to Frankfurt and get 2nd, and you come here and you get 4th, and it's like, oh, this transition, this is pretty cool. And before that, 70.3 was a pretty smooth transition too. And so, when you look at this, and do you think it's heat related?
So we think it's autonomic, so nervous system.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But we have to do a full barrage of testing to really isolate exactly what's happening.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's basically a disconnect between my brain's perception of threat and actual
real threat.
And just things start kicking in way before, very prematurely.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you take away from last year's race here? Because we've seen athletes who just do well here. This is their place, right? You got 4th. You had a great race.
Yeah.
Do you draw on that when you come back here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the same thing that brought me to the islands last year brought me back, and that's an opportunity to celebrate my sport in my community. This is the most iconic triathlon in the world. I knew that I would regret not returning.
Right.
So it's really, yes, of course I'm competitive, and this is how I make a living. So I would love to knock it out of the park. But the initial reason I got into Ironman was really for a massive challenge and to grow as a person. And that's the same reason most of us get into the sport. And I think that was really important to me to be able to express that on the Big Island.
So your first Olympic experience, you get 4th, and you stay around for another 4 years.
Yep.
And then did not have the race, cramped up at that 2nd Olympics in Rio. And then was it a tough decision at that point, or you'd already been thinking about, all right, I think I'm ready to move on to longer?
It took a little bit of time. I think there's a grieving process.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite ready to move on. I wanted the right reasons to move on to Ironman, and it just took a little bit of time. But then, honestly, it was basically one morning in October, I woke up and it was before Kona. I'm like, next year, Kona 2018, I've got to do it.
Really?
But I mentally needed to get to the point where I need to be able to be fully committed. You know, the whole Olympic track, it requires so much physical and emotional energy. You know, you're traveling, you're away from your loved ones, and it took a lot from my family.
Right.
You know, it was really hard on them too. So really, I kind of needed to recharge the batteries and make sure that I was doing this for the right reason, doing Ironman for the right reason, and I needed that time to realize that things were kind of coalescing to make it happen.
This is this is going to be an Olympic year for your husband Ben.
Yep.
Right. How do you guys balance that? Because you've got two world-class athletes living in the same household. With, you know, he's off in Doha, you're in Kona. He's flying from Doha to Kona.
Yeah, there's no question it's a real challenge. I definitely wouldn't recommend, you know, two pro athletes from different sports getting together. At least he's not a winter athlete. So originally he was a skier, and if he had stayed a skier, we would really never see each other.
Right.
So it could always be worse. You know, we understand what the other person's going through. I think the challenge is that physically we can't be there for each other in the same way that, you know, other couples can.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so next year, actually, with the Olympics being in August and this being in October.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time, right? Ben was over here last year.
Yes.
And what was his thought? Because it's one thing to go to other triathlons,
Right.
and even going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
But this is a different beast. Coming to this island at this time, what were his impressions of this place?
We're just both such sports fans.
Yeah.
So when I sat down, you know, not long after I realized, you know, this Kona 2018 gonna make it happen. Like we had this talk across the table, because you need your partner to
Totally. On board.
to be supportive.
Yeah.
It's like, Sarah, if you're gonna do this, you need to qualify for Kona. No pressure or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's like I want to be there and I want to see it. So you have to qualify.
Oh, so wait. So it wasn't about this would be great for you and your career.
No.
It was like, this would be really, I'd like to go to Hawaii.
That event sounds crazy and I want to see it. Of course, once he got here, it was the first few days he was out running. He's like, comes back from these runs, and we're talking 5-mile runs.
Right.
And he would flop down on the ground, you know, just pouring with sweat. Oh, it's so hot in there. This is miserable. I don't know why anybody on earth would go and run here. And like,
Dude, you know what I got coming up on Saturday?
Totally. After a few days, I'm like, Ben, this is not helpful. I have to run a marathon in this. So please,
This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why would anybody ever run here? Oh,
totally.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can be supportive spouse right now and not be thinking about yourself and how hot you are, okay?
And was he out there on the run course cheering you on? Or was he in air conditioning somewhere?
Shade. He found some shade, but he was out there a little bit. Yeah.
Was he did he love it though? Did he think that this was pretty cool?
Yeah, I think he was a little nervous for me crossing the finish line, but obviously it's such an incredible sport, and you know, to be here and see it in person, it gave him a whole new appreciation for what I do and, you know, really for my world, you know.
How has this been different for you? I mean, the Olympic part is it's all about points, and it's all about how he did in this last race, and really the best person doesn't necessarily win. It's I've seen those races where you're 30 people off the bike together, separated by nothing, right? And so there's so much tactics, being in the right place at the right time, and the difference from that to this.
Yeah, I really think the difference between short course racing and Ironman is twofold. You know, Ironman is essentially a time trial. You know, you have to focus on yourself. You have to keep your effort in check. You have to stay on top of your nutrition. Yes, we use other athletes to key off of to get the most out of ourselves.
Right.
But ultimately, we are constrained by, you know, what we physically are doing. Whereas, you know, ITU stuff, it's a lot more reactive. So, you know, if somebody's going hard, you're not looking at your power meter saying, oh, you know, that's outside of my zone right now. You're just going. You're going for it. And maybe you're going to blow up, but that's okay. You know, so it's very different in that way. And then the second part, I would say, is just, you know, I loved ITU, I loved the people around me, but you see the same, you know, 60 people week in, week out, and you travel the world, and you're in this little bubble, and you're pretty isolated from the rest of the triathlon community. Whereas you get to Ironman, it's like, hey, people from all over the world, all different age groups, you know, some of us are trying to make a living doing this. The vast majority are doing this for fun.
And they're paying to be here.
And they're paying to be here. And it's given me this energy where it's been able to take it outside. You know, it's no longer just about me and my performance. And it's the realization you're part of something so much bigger than yourself.
So you've been to the biggest stage in ITU, which is the Olympics.
Yeah.
And you've been here. How do you compare just the, you know, just the energy between the two?
I would say, I mean, it's apples and oranges.
Okay.
Apples and pineapples.
Oh, there we go.
That's such a dad joke.
That was good. Yeah.
No, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So it's just totally different. It's different side of the sport. Yes, it's swimming, biking, and running. I can't compare. I mean, Olympics, you're part of a global sporting history. Here, you're part of a triathlon history.
Right. Yeah, because you got every sport in the world. When you
Right.
So when you were at the Olympics, who was the coolest person you met?
Oh, geez, the coolest person I met. I don't know. Oh, well, so there's this hurdler, Lolo Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And at the closing ceremonies, I'm not sure if this is the coolest. This is probably the most embarrassing for me.
Yeah, there you go.
There was another rower that I had met who had also finished fourth. So this is after London. We're both fourth. We see Lolo, who had also finished fourth.
Yes.
We're like, this is a hilarious photo. Let's all take photos of like fourth place finishers.
No medals.
She was not impressed.
Oh, Lolo was not.
It was a little too fresh still. And I just got this death glare where the rower and I are like, this is the funniest thing in the world. Yeah.
Wasn't that funny to
no,
Lolo?
No, not that funny
Lolo
to her.
did
Yeah, whoops.
I like it. So what will you be happy with this weekend?
I will be happy with, you know, I can't control whether or not whatever's happening kicks in.
Right.
I obviously, best case scenario, nothing happens. I'm able to express my fitness and all the hard work I've done over the year. You know, I'm coming here, yes, I want to perform, but I also want to enjoy it and take it all in. So, you know, what I've been visualizing over the past year is running down Elite E toward the finish and just really taking in the finish line experience. And that's my goal, is to cross the finish line and be like, whatever I had today, no matter what it was. So maybe it's a tremendous performance,
right.
And maybe it's a performance that you just kind of get through and you gut it out. But just the last 200 meters, seeing the finish line and just taking it all in, that's all I can want.
Love it.
Yeah.
How about a round of applause for Sarah True? Poncho Man, take us out.
Little darling, steer it up. Come on, baby. Cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho.